I'd like to introduce Roger Stone. Everyone knows who Roger Stone is. If you haven't watched his new documentary on Netflix, it is phenomenal. I had the red pill my buddy last night and showed it to him on Netflix, so it's pretty awesome. Everyone right here, Roger Stone.
I always love it when I get a chance to run into my friend Joe Biggs, and I'll tell you why. Joe Biggs is a scrapper. Joe Biggs is a street fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Biggs is a brawler. Joe Biggs is a patriot, and he doesn't take any crap from liberals. I'm honored to be with you, my friend. This district is most interesting to me, but I must tell you that in my very long career as a political consultant, I've worked in 10 presidential campaigns for Richard Nixon, my mentor, Governor Ronald Reagan in 3 campaigns, 76, 80, and 84. I worked for Senator Bob Dole, a real patriot who was out stumping at age 93, I think, for the Trump-Pence ticket across Kansas, Nebraska, and the breadbasket. I was honored to help President Trump, and I'm proud to call him my friend. And I think he has the real potential to be a transformative president. Not a transitional president, but a transformative president. And what people don't know about him is that he is, one, tough as nails. I mean, very tough. Secondarily, he's a decent man. He's a man who believes in justice, who believes in mercy. He's a good-hearted man. But above all, he is not a quitter. He's extraordinarily stubborn when he sets his mind on a goal. So for those who want to jump out windows because the Republican health care plan failed, they need to understand that in Donald Trump's mind, this is just a temporary setback. See, Donald Trump will never lose those of us who voted for him and supported him. If he fights and loses, he'll only lose us when he stops fighting, and he'll never stop fighting because he's a fighter by nature. Now, I think, sadly, that he has been betrayed by some in the Republican establishment who he bestowed the highest possible honor upon to work for his administration, to work in his White House.
Amen.
And they have not served him well. Turns out that Anthony Scaramucci was a political suicide bomber. Yes, he blew himself up, but he took out 2 establishment Republican moles. And Anthony Scaramucci, or as I like to call him, Andrew Dice Scaramucci, he's a good man. And he's going to be out there fighting for the president. You can be assured of that. I must tell you, in my long career as a political consultant, it has been many, many, many years since I involved myself in a House race for the Congress. I have worked in U.S. Senate races, a few, in more recent years, at a time when Lori Gay, who was a veteran aide to Ronald Reagan, and absolutely seminal to Reagan's election of president in 1980, and has helped virtually every Republican candidate for president since that time. Lori, let everybody see you are. This man's a patriot and a consummate professional. But in our day, Lori and I worked on some U.S. Senate races. We worked on some governor's races. And of course, we worked on presidential races. You see, I spent 2 years at the Office of Economic Opportunity, or a little less, I think, under Don Rumsfeld, under Howard Phillips in the Nixon administration, and I can tell you, government was not for me. But this congressional race is different. Because in all truth, as I look at the situation, this race is not about liberal conservative. It's not about Republican Democrat. It's about a corrupt public official who's getting wealthy and lining her pockets and the pockets of her family members with her governmental power in violation of the law, and a tough, energetic, young reformer who will provide honest government. Omar Navarro reminds me of a young Richard Nixon in the sense that he is a hard charger who is going to confront the issues. And he'll be talking about more than just corruption. But I think even he understands that there's a larger paramount issue here. You see, Maxine Waters assaults the president as a way to distracting for her incredible activities. This is a woman who pressured the U.S. government to bail out a bank, but never disclosed that she and her husband owned stock in that bank, and that he was a member of the board of directors. Let's be very clear. If Maxine Waters were Hispanic, she'd be in jail right now. She pays her daughter $600,000 from her campaign fund. That's $500,000 plus dollars. And then they run what they call the slate card scam. That's where you pay off the Maxine Waters machine for her to put her name on a slate card in the various areas of her district. It's another way of grafting. How many times are these people going to break the law with impunity? There's a double standard in which some elites and media favorites and liberal Democrats are held to a different standard than a conservative or even moderate Republican would be. And so this race is about integrity in public office. I think, in all honesty, Maxine Waters has one other large problem. Because based on what I've heard, the James Brown Foundation wants the wig back. Now, I want you all to go to YouTube, and I want you to find a recording of a song by Hound Dog Taylor called "Give Me Back My Wig." This is going to be the unofficial campaign song of the Omar Navarro campaign. I've done some talking to Omar, a strategy for the race, talk about fundraising. There's not much you can tell this young man about social media. It's very effective, and you can see the way the army of Omarites is growing and continues to grow. Omar came to the attention of Alex Jones at InfoWars, a good friend of us all. Yeah, he said, this kid's a fighter, this kid's a patriot, he's a winner. Roger, you got to take a look at this race. And Owen Schroyer also was talking up his friend Omar and said, this guy can do it. Now, we recognize this is uphill, but the voters in this district have trouble affording hamburger while Maxine and her husband dine on filet mignon with the pâté fagua. They're drinking champagne when the people in this district can barely afford a bottle of vodka or a glass of wine. It is extraordinary that she represents people who have terrible schools, unsafe streets and neighborhoods, and abject poverty. There is no opportunity in Maxine Waters' district, yet she lives in a multi-million-dollar mansion outside the district in Hancock Park, living like an heiress. And this inequity has to be addressed. Omar Navarro will go to work for the people in this district, for safer streets, for policies that will bring jobs to our inner cities, to our urban communities. Omar Navarro will go to fight for policies that improve our schools. So our schools aren't would-be jails, but are places of learning. I know him. I'm impressed with him. He's a fighter. Now, I want you all to go to his website now, if you're seeing us on social media, and send the Omar Navarro for Congress campaign a contribution if you can. If you can only afford 25, send 25. If you can only afford 50, send 50. If you can send 100, 250, 500, whatever's within your reach, $10, $5, $1. Because I want you to invest in Omar Navarro. Now, I am therefore proud to announce that I will be working with Omar as a strategic consultant. And I will be working hard with him to help him define his message. And this will be a clean campaign based on her record and Omar's plans for the future. And I expect all kinds of shenanigans. I heard today that Maxine Waters may be fielding another Republican candidate, a ringer, to try to see that Omar doesn't finish in the top two. And I hear other Republicans now seeing that Omar had the courage to jump in the water and show that he can swim. Now a bunch of other Republicans, some of whom don't live in this district, are decided that maybe they want to run for Congress. This reminds me of when Eugene McCarthy went to New Hampshire in a hopeless race, but he nicked Lyndon Johnson in the primary, and then overnight, Robert Kennedy, who hadn't had the courage to make the race, jumps in, and of course was subsequently tragically murdered. Omar was the guy who had the courage to get in the cold surf. He was the one with the guts to take on the Maxine Brown machine and the insults and the thuggery and the unlimited war chest. Believe me, when they figure out Maxine Waters is in trouble, they'll come in here with special interest dollars like nothing you've ever seen. But that's when we will come back with more and more, because you see, if you had 1 million donors who gave $1 apiece, or better yet, 2 million who gave $1 apiece, now you're able to afford the very expensive paid broadcast media, cable, which gets us outside of the internet. Now, we'll run a hell of a campaign on the net, don't get me wrong. But in a district with this many older voters, it's essential to have the old media too, and these prices are extraordinary. Plus, I'm a great believer in mail, because I think a lot of our older voters vote, but the cost of postage alone is prohibitive in a district this large. Unless, of course, you pony up, and your friends, and other patriots. Now, one of the things I am most impressed of, and I really like this race, is the activities of my friend Sabo. He is a guerrilla fighter, man. This guy has really defined Maxine Waters in some very creative ways. If you haven't seen his work, if you haven't bought his work, because he sells very fine political agit-prop art that is just will blow your mind, that just kind of encapsulates things. If you haven't seen his poster, Poverty Pimp, with Maxine's visage, I recommend that one. So the fact that Sabo is in really encouraged me to get in, and I'm in. And now I give you the next congressman from the 43rd District, fighter, young dynamo, one and only, Omar Navarro. Congressman from the 43rd District of California, Mr. Omar Navarro.